And like a good auto worker should, he blames it on the foreign companies. What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? Let's see. Hopefully I'll be in the shot here. Happy Labor Day, right? Okay. UAW is getting ready to go on strike. That's a big thing because here in Michigan, you know, we invented the shit. So, and we're the Motor City, Detroit, right? Vaping. Okay, this is a new deal for me. I'm hoping to get off the cigarettes. You know, even if I would hope this is better for me than the cigarettes. I certainly don't seem to need as much of it. I haven't had it for a while, but anyway, UAW is getting ready to go on strike. It looks like it's probably going to happen. I believe it's September 14th is the date that the strike will start, if it starts at all. Reason I'm talking about this, I just listened to an interview with Bob King, who is Bob King's legendary UAW Grand Poobah here in Detroit. So, you know, let's talk about it. You know, the UAW, and now you guys remember, I'm not here, especially my UAW subscribers, and I know you're out there. You guys already know I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. I'm a union guy myself, more than 20 years, 25 years, okay? Now, I've been out of the demolition business for 5 years, maybe 6 years now, but I'm still, you know, a union guy. I'm going to collect my pension one day, hopefully. It looks like it'll happen, but okay, so here's what the UAW is asking for. This is our special Labor Day edition of Detroit Wreckers channel here. UAW is asking for a 46% increase in pay, a 32-hour work week. They want to restore the cost of living, wage increase, you know, periodically cost of living. They want to restore that. The reinstatement of pensions, not 401ks. They want to reinstate. Used to be UAW guys had a pension, you know. Not so much anymore. They got 401ks. You know, the guys that are left that have the pensions are few and far between. I know a guy that's getting ready to retire very soon. Hopefully he does it before the strike. Anyway, they want to restore, and this is important. This is an important one to me. This one touches my heart. They want to restore health care for the retirees. The retirees' health care should have never been fucked with to begin with. Okay? That pisses me off. It should have never been screwed with to begin with. So I am on board with restore the health care for its retirees, okay? The end of the two-tier system, pay system for employees. They've got a two-tier system in place now. If you want to read about that, that's fine. I don't know. Basically, I don't agree with any of this shit other than restoring the health care for the retirees. Because fucking hey, I want a 46% pay increase myself. You know, you can want in one hand and crap in the other, and tell me which one fills up first, right? But here's the biggest thing. You know, the UAW is the reason people cringe when you mention unions everywhere in the United States of America. Okay? Incidentally, if this contract were to pass and all these increases, it would cost each of the companies, and I hate to call it the auto industry, because when we talk about the auto industry, we are basically talking about three individual companies: General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, in that order. So, you know, when you talk about the auto industry, now you're grouping in a whole bunch of other people, Kia and Toyota and this and that and the other, which, you know, Toyota, we're going to get back to Toyota in a minute here. But it's going to cost each of these auto companies $20 billion per year. That's what they're saying. It's going to, the automotive companies say if this contract passes, it will bankrupt them. Well, I mean, that's no fucking surprise. So the UAW bankrupted them once before. Why not bankrupt them again, right? And I'm, like I said, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. You know, the UAW absolutely destroyed the word union. When people hear unions, especially in places like the South, when they try to get unionized people to come in there, people cringe, and most people are against it because and the people in California, oh, so you're gonna pay somebody so that you can go to work, and they don't understand that, I'm a union guy. I'm in the trades unions, okay? The trades unions, we're it's a completely different union. We work for a living, okay? Now, the UAW guys are going to say, hey, man, we work hard for our money. We work hard for a living. Let's not get carried away, okay? Most of these guys, when they get off work, they look like they're in their pajamas and they just woke up. And some of them, that's the case. I remember not that many years ago, I was doing a strip out in a building, and way up in the ceiling where there was a bunch of like heaters and shit like that, somebody had a bed set up with fucking magazines and shit, and that dude came to work every day and climbed up in that bed and went to sleep. So let's not get carried away when we say the auto workers work hard for a living. There's probably a couple that do work hard for their living, but let's not get carried away. But unfortunately, you got to understand it from their perspective too. When you have nothing to compare it to, it does feel like you work hard for a living. Now listen, the trades guys, they work their asses off for a living. They have much smaller contracts than the UAW. Incidentally, the trades guys usually have to go in, well, they do have to go in, and when these plants get retooled and whatnot, it's the trades guys that do it. Now the UAW takes offense to that. They get really fucking pissed off when they bring in outside help in the trades unions, and they argue for it, and they say, oh, but we'll do the work, and they've been given opportunities to do the work, and they're not capable of it. I can remember going into plants where the UAW had been there for a year. They were supposed to strip out the plant wall to wall, floor to ceiling. They've been there for a year, and they made it through maybe 2 bays. Okay, we went in there, and in 3 weeks we stripped the entire plant out. Okay, I can tell you countless stories about, when I was over at the Coke battery, we're over at Severstal there. We were taking down the Coke battery there, and the UAW would come out and they'd say, hey, we're going to take this and this, and we're going to give it to a couple of our guys. One of the quick stories is that we had this big pile of dirt, basically, and my brother and another operator, they were loading it out, and they said, hey, we're going to take that pile back. Okay, cool. So they brought 2 operators out, and the very first truck, the truck driver stopped. He goes, hey, man, come here. I said, what's up? He goes, you know what that guy said to me? The UAW guy. He goes, you know what that fucking guy said to me? I said, what's that? He goes, he told me that I need to slow down between loads because he plans on being here for a year. Let me tell you something. In 6 months' time, those 2 guys they had exactly half that pile gone. Okay? So they knew what they were doing, because the end part of this story is that when the UAW guy came out and he said, what the fuck is going on? Listen, we're releasing this back to you guys. The end of that story is my brother and another operator loaded that second half of that pile out in a day and a half. So these guys knew exactly what they were doing. They were machine operators. They knew exactly how long it was going to take. They wanted to stretch it out for a year, and they said, we know exactly how long it's going to take to make this pile last a year. That shit is fucked up, and that is the reason that people around the country cringe when they hear UAW. It's the reason they cringe. It's the reason the UAW destroyed the fucking union name. They destroyed it. They hurt everyone with the shit they pulled and the greed that went on. And now the last bankruptcy, I really truly believe it was planned by the automotive companies. And Ford, we're not letting you off the hook, not anymore. You always said, oh, we didn't take government money. No, but you did take private money to make it appear that you weren't going bankrupt. The other 2 took government bailouts, which means U.S. taxpayer. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought for a second there. Again, the UAW destroyed the union name. They got greedy. I know what I was saying about how I think the auto companies planned that bankruptcy. It does seem that way, because in the years leading up to that, I remember Ford Motor Company was dishing out $12,000 bonuses to each employee, and don't forget to pick up your home computer on the way out the door. Okay, this was going on just a few years before the whole shit hit the fan and the auto companies went bankrupt. Well, the auto companies went bankrupt, and I know you're not hate to hear this, but the auto companies went bankrupt because of the UAW and the contracts, but it was also their own fault because they signed the contracts. But the problem with that is, and I understand that type of thinking as well, they didn't have to agree to the contracts. Well, no, they didn't necessarily have to, but it was kind of like, okay, we either fucking agree to the contract or we find an entirely new workforce to keep fucking going. Okay? So you guys had them by the balls, and this time you don't really have them by the balls so much. I do believe they're probably due for a slight pay increase. It sure isn't going to be 46%. My hope is that that's where the UAW is starting, and if they get a 10% or 15% raise, that'd be good. 32-hour work week, forget about it. You guys don't want overtime now either? You want a shorter week? You don't want overtime money either? So now what's going to happen is if you're on a 32-hour work week, that means everything you work 32 hours over, not to mention how that all gets twisted during the daytime. And I'll tell you guys that don't know about that, I'll tell you about that. You would think, okay, after 32 hours, now they're on overtime, and that's true. But you got to understand this, too. After 8 hours, you're on overtime. Okay? That's a UAW thing. That was a thing for me, too. You're on overtime. Saturday, you're on time and a half no matter what. You didn't work all week long. If you came in on Saturday, you got time and a half. And Sunday, you got double time. That's under the general maintenance agreement through the trade unions. So yeah, you didn't work Monday through Friday, but you came in on Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, you were paid time and a half, and on Sunday, you were paid double time. That's part of our arrangement. It's part of our agreement. The difference is that trade unions, like I said, we bust our ass. When you see these guys get off work, they're fucking pouring sweat. They're dirty. They've been getting something done. They're proud of it. The UAW guys, you see them walking out the door, like I said, they look like they're in their fucking pajamas. They just got out of bed, I mean, it's fucking ridiculous, honestly. It's just, they get so indoctrinated into this shit that they start believing their own bullshit. And it is bullshit, man. I mean, it just pains me. Anyway, another reason the auto companies are going to be hurting here is because of the electric vehicles. Ford Motor Company is currently, right now, they're freaking out because they've got electric vehicles sitting on the lot. They're not fucking selling, man. And if you go through the Detroit area here and you start, you drive down the road, and I'm going to start looking to see electric cars, see if I can spot an electric car today. You don't see many of them, for starters, but what you do see is Teslas. Every so often you see one of the new electric Mustangs. So, again, we've got Ford Motor Company has electric vehicles just sitting on the lot because they're not selling. Why? Because people don't fucking want them. Why? Because the technology isn't there. Why? Because the grid is not even fucking close to being able to handle anything like that. Even if the technology were there, our power grids in Michigan and across the rest of the country, they're not fucking ready for it. The power grids are not ready for it. Look, it rains here and the fucking power goes out for 3 days, okay? Look at the state of California with the rolling blackouts and the bullshit that's going on there with the power companies. I talked with a DTE, a big time DTE guy not long ago, and he explained that to me, that the grids are not even close. He also explained to me, how, okay, solar and electric, solar and wind, okay? Asked him, what does it account for, customer-wise? Okay, if all of the solar and wind were working at one time in the state of Michigan, which it's not, you can drive northern Michigan and half of the fucking windmills aren't even turning. So, but let's just pretend that they were all working at one time, it would power 300,000 customers. Whereas, like the Fermi nuclear plant down here on Lake Erie, powers 1/5 of the state. So the technology is still in nuclear. Wind and solar just isn't there yet. We'll get there one day. Electric vehicles will get there one day. I think, and now here's where I get to Toyota. I think what Toyota did was very smart. They didn't go full electric. They said, we're going to release a hybrid. Now, even a guy like myself would at least listen and look at the hybrid. I don't think I could get one because, pulling bolts and shit like that. I don't think it would work out for me. But, I would at least listen to the pitch because it's a hybrid, right? I'm not going to run out. My battery's not going to run out, and I'm going to be stuck on the side of the road, or I got to find a fucking place to plug in somewhere. So, again, and we go back to Toyota. I mean, look, these guys down in the Toyota plants down in Evansville, Indiana. God bless you guys. I don't know how you can fucking live around there, but it's beautiful, but there's just nothing there. But anyway, the Toyota plants down there, those guys make 90 grand a year, and this is going back 15 years ago. They were making 90 grand a year, and their health care and their pensions and everything else, 401ks. They're not union. They're not union at all. But each guy, here's the difference. Each guy in the Toyota plant knows how to do everybody else's job. Everybody knows how to do everybody else's job. Unlike Ford and GM and Chrysler, where if a fucking guy doesn't show up, guess what? It don't fucking happen that day. Because the UAW contract, okay? My job is to pick up this board and set it over here. The guy next to me his job is to pick up these pliers and cut this line, okay? So what happens is if the guy that cuts the line, he don't show up, there's nobody to fill in for him. You're not allowed to fill in for him. I'm not allowed to pick up those pliers. So I'm just going to keep moving these boards over here, over here, over here all day, and ain't nothing going to happen next to me. And that's the fucking deal with the UAW. The guy that fucking picks up this board is not allowed to pick up the pliers. And I've always thought that was bullshit. Bullshit way of doing things. In my union, the trades union, if you wanted to get somewhere, you worked hard and you got somewhere, okay? And for my job, I was a what they call a high burner. I was up in a man basket with a torch all day, setting up buildings. That was what I did. Now if times were slow, I had the option. I could either get laid off or I could go and sweep the floors, and I was happy to go sweep the floors for get an extra week out of it or whatever it was. Okay, we made very good money. Well, let me re-clarify that because we have to get to something else here. We made decent money, and now here's where we get to a very complicated topic, and here's where you can't blame the UAW for trying to get something for the workers. When we talk about the middle class in this country, we're talking about people who in the last 25 years have been making the same amount of income, okay? The wages have not gone up. On the other hand, the cost of living has skyrocketed, and people can't fucking make it anymore, okay? Back in the 90s, in 1995, if you were making $50,000, $65,000 a year, you were living a comfortable lifestyle. Not glamorous, but comfortable. The problem is people are still living in between that $50,000 and $75,000 a year range, but the cost of living has gone up tenfold. I don't know what the answer to that is. I've always said either the cost of living needs to come down or the wages need to go up. And the worst part of the wages going up is, guess what? It drives the cost of living up. So, either we're going to have to find a way to bring the cost of living down somehow. Something's got to give, man. And here's what it is. Fucking middle class has to take this country back. I recently did a video that said, don't count out Trump. And if Trump runs, I'll vote for him. He's got my vote, unless somebody else comes along, a middle class person who has it going on, they'll get my vote. Right now, if I had to vote today, I'd vote for Trump because he's our only hope. He's certainly not middle class or can even fucking relate to the middle class on any level, but it's our only hope at this point. But what's going to happen in the United States of America is that the middle class is going to have to take this country back. I hope it doesn't take a revolution because, hey, the bread truck doesn't show up during the revolution, buddy. But it's going to happen. And I think we're on the brink of something here. You guys, don't ever forget, we're a very, very young country. Well, we've only been around a couple hundred years, Compared to all these other countries, been around thousands of fucking years. We've only been around a couple hundred years. I hope we look at others and other countries and don't make their mistakes. But obviously, if you listen to some of the speeches Ron Paul gave, go look up Ron Paul, the end of dollar hegemony, and listen to that. You know, obviously we haven't learned from others' mistakes, because it's incredible how you can listen to the end of dollar hegemony. I'll try to put a link in the description for you guys, and you can listen and you can see where we're at right now, and we're not far away from the whole fucking thing falling apart, man. You know, and it's not going to be like it was in 2007, 2008 with the housing market. It's going to be because, you know, the middle class is going to be fed up, and they're going to pick up arms, and it's going to be a revolution. But the only way to fix what's going on in the United States of America right now is for the middle class to take our country back. And I don't think anything positive is going to happen until that happens. Like I said, I really hope it doesn't take a revolution, because, like I said, beer truck don't show up, vape truck don't show up, nothing shows up during the revolution. I'm going to get mine, you better believe that. But there's going to be a whole portion of people in this society that just basically die because they can't fend for themselves. They can't forage for food. I don't even know any other way to say it, but you got a whole fucking generation of pussies who are, aren't willing. We'll see how quickly they change their mind about hunting and fishing and everything else when the revolution comes. God, I hope it doesn't come. Anyway, this is our special edition here at the Detroit Wrecker YouTube channel. Labor Day edition. Happy Labor Day to everybody, including the United Auto Workers who believe you work hard every day. I'm busting your balls, and you know that. But like I said, when you have nothing else to compare it to, of course it feels like you're working hard. But for a guy like me in the trades unions, I mean, we laugh at you guys. You guys are... When it comes to the word work, I mean, you guys represent pretty pathetically, to be honest. I mean, let's not... I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And the guys in the trades unions, they think you're pathetic. And I know you guys are all fucking got your fucking tampons going in when it comes to the trade unions coming in and doing what you think is your work. But if it was your work, you'd be doing it. You know, you'd be capable of doing it. So let me know. I don't want to get carried away here ripping on the UAW. But I do want to make light of the current situation where it looks like the UAW will be going on strike as of September 14th. They actually have a fund that each worker that's on strike will get $500 a week. I don't know if they'll be able to live on that $500 a week, but there actually is a strike fund. And I don't know how long that'll last, but boy, that seems like you'd be pissing away an awful lot of fucking money. And where's it coming from? I mean, it's probably coming from the healthcare fund that the fucking retirees are supposed to be getting already. It's probably coming from the fucking pension funds that the guys that are still getting a pension come from. You know, so I don't know where it all comes from, but you know, it sounds to me like you'd be pissing away a lot of fucking money that could be used in a much smarter way. So anyway, God bless the United States. God bless the middle class. Happy Labor Day, everybody. I know it's tomorrow, but Sunday is always the day that everybody kind of celebrates, and tomorrow's just an off day. So not for me. I'll be working. That's what I do. That every Labor Day I try to work, because that's what it's all about, right? The fruits of our labor. So until next time. This has been going on all summer, just been sitting here doing nothing. Peace out.